Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Interlinked, the official podcast of Neo Tokyo, powered by Shrappy Dappy.
What's up, crypto gamers? I'm pleased to share I've got some updates on Shrapnel. First off, in regard to the litigation, they are open to a reasonable settlement, but they are determined to protect their rights in court and share that they have strong lawyers who will be there to protect them. That statement was shared on their Twitter. Now, on the game side, they have a event planned for the end of November where people are going to be able to dive back into the sacrifice zone for 7 days straight. This event will be aimed at celebrating the community in the last year that they had, and they're going to pack that week full of prizes. There's going to be digital rewards. There's even going to be physical rewards. I hear rumors about controllers and graphic cards, and there's going to be some updates to gameplay too. So they're going to have Revolver, they're going to have a new AR, and I even hear there's going to be a big announcement that week. So certainly stay tuned for more details. When we have a date to share, we will certainly share it. Huge shout out to our sponsor, Playa3ull Games. They are inspired by gamers and funded by their community. They have a epic game on the Epic Games Store, a third-person shooter called Nexus. Hop on in there and check that out. They're also currently selling nodes, so if you're interested, check that out at their website, playable.games. That is a 3 instead of a B on Playable. Now strap in for the rest of this episode of Interlinked.
Today, we are going to jump in to some news topics. We're going to have a little fun. It's the three of us today. I am surrounded by the greatest co-host of all time, Sir Nicholas and Mr. Jared. How are you guys doing?
Doing wonderful. A lot to be excited about. It looks like we might be, for the first time in months and months and months, not home on the range. So I'm excited to see that. Still cautiously optimistic that we're breaking through. We'll see. I've been hurt before a lot over the last 6 months. So we'll see.
This is it. I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay, we have a series of topics. Let's rapid fire them, get some thoughts and opinions. First one up on our list here, we have Robinhood opening up with BTC ETH futures trading. They've announced it. That means that we have some leverage that could be inbound into the system. What are we thinking, guys?
I'm stoked for what it means, but also of all the opportunity of all the derivatives, I understand futures the least. So it's not something that I'm going to be jumping into because I'm pretty ignorant on there as opposed to options or some other derivatives or just standard leverage. I also don't necessarily understand. Sometimes it seems like the futures market is a hindrance to price appreciation where you end up with so much volume on the futures market. Again, I'm ignorant there, but I'm all for getting more sort of access in different shapes and forms to BTC. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sort of, I'm sure 99% of the people that actually use futures are probably undereducated and, it's going to be dangerous. Some people are going to kill it. And those that can kind of study up and figure out a way to do it, I think it's great. But overall, I think it's great. The more, the merrier is the way I look at it. But at the same time, hopefully Robinhood can get their stuff together, make sure that it's up more of the times than it's down, and that, offloading and on-ramping and all that can be done easily. But yay for Robinhood. Welcome to the crypto space again. Let's go.
You mean if people use futures, they can't read the charts and then tell you the news that's going to come later? I thought that was a given. Now, I astrology for men is, we all need something to to believe in. But anyways, I'm just imagining the fleets and hordes of traders just anyways. So I'm thinking here on the futures, this is a really good sign because it means that we're giving TradFi more tools to be able to gamble in our casino. Right now, it's been a relatively small pie of people with a small amount of capital that has been, in our casino. And by our casino, I mean our entire, industry, which is essentially kind of what we built. Yes, there's technology, but let's be real. Let's call it what it is. A lot of it's just, glorified casino with potentially unlimited upside. Adding in these different tools will enable more sophisticated actors, by sophisticated I mean people with larger bags and more monies, to come in and bet with us and play the game. My hope is it gives them tools that make them more comfortable so they can step in and they feel like they have the ability to hedge, or they can do their fancy algorithms and diversification and 2% here, 2% there, blah blah blah, and it'll fit within their made up rules that they live by and preach by in order to sell people overpriced management fees. So anyways, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Okay, so we touched on that one. More to come. We'll kind of keep an eye on that as it develops. We've also had AI becoming a millionaire through meme tokens, crypto trading. Started off with a little bit of a grant, let's say, from Andreessen Horowitz. But let's kick it over to you, Jared. I know you had some updates for us and wanted to break that story.
Yeah, so it's called Truth Terminal, and it essentially got a meme token created called Goat, and it has become the Goatsy, which I think is sort of a religion. And now people are airdropping this AI, which, by the way, was basically just trained on Twitter, 4chan, and all the sort of depravity of the internet. So it is a foul, crazy, sort of unhinged AI that is now in charge of, as of yesterday, it had $850,000. So my guess is by today, it's probably past $1 million. And it originally turned, I believe it's $20,000 into $500,000 on the Goat coin because it's pumping it. It is, imagine the Elon Musk occasional Doge, but the Doge post where it starts pumping, but this is constant. And it's over the top insanity. And it's talking about the singularity coming. And people are now airdropping it tokens so that it will buy into their token and show up in their wallet. And now they're like, oh, this thing will pump mine. And now it's like this new strategy. But, is this the beginning of the end? Is this Terminator? It seems very, very suspicious. And some of the posts are wild. You guys have got to check it out. But it does have its own Bitcoin wallet. It also has its own Solana wallet. So if you're interested, check it out. What do you guys think?
I think what's really interesting here is that we're seeing the classic influencer path being taken immediately by the AI. It gets some money, it puts money into something that's relatively small, and then it shills the fuck out of it and gathers attention so that everybody then is coming into it and pumping its bags. Like, it immediately figured out the game of what most people are doing and immediately hit from 20K to 500K. That's a 20x, 25x, whatever that is. Like, well done, AI. You figured out the dirty game that's going on, behind the scenes, and it did it immediately, which probably is more of a reflection on us as an industry than, where the AI is.
By the way, it was Mark Andreessen that gave it $50,000 in Bitcoin, I think just a few days ago.
And it also verifies the conversation that we were having at the end of Down Only, which was, hey, does it make sense to do your own research, or does it make sense to copy trade the influencers? Doesn't sound like this AI is doing its own research. So as much as you put faith in these omnipotent AI powers, also, like, my mind is sort of reeling on, like, if you create an AI but you don't have access to any of the wallets yourself, like, let's say you only showed the AI the seed phrase, so you don't actually have access. How long is it going to take the US government to figure out how to tax this AI and claim jurisdiction over this artificial intelligence to tax its gains?
That's a really good question. I actually want to go back to something you said a little earlier, which is it's not doing its own research. My question is, how did it choose this particular token to want to go in on? Did it somehow look through, like, did it like analyze sentiment on Twitter of like, okay, based on what these certain, pumpamental influencers are looking at, the next best guess is that they'll be attracted to this one. Like, how did because like if it was really brilliant and like solving the market here means figuring out whichever one's going to pump next. But like maybe it was like, okay, I think based on my calculations and statistics or data points that the people who move markets, and then it can identify which ones on Twitter it thinks it most likely will move markets, because it could probably check these certain people are pumping these certain coins, and it can go verify with market data. Okay, these people talked about stuff, it moved this much, therefore we think if this combination of influencer is going to talk about it, talk about a coin at this particular market cap, I can expect this much. And then it's like, okay, then I think the next most likely one for them all to jump on is this one. I mean, I may be giving it way too much credit, but like that could be research. Like that's research in our industry, frankly speaking. So like that's my question is, how did it know which one to pump? How did it make that decision? Like why did it do that particular one?
It's the foremost excerpt in gain of function meme virality. Like that is like an interesting thought of like one of the tools of AI is like part of it's getting the meme in front of the right eyes. That's like one level of the research. But like I'm like now thinking of like, can we feed an AI algorithm like Hawk2, Pepe, Mog, like all of these memes that caught on and like all of the imagery around it and like feed it the TikTok and Instagram and X and like Reddit information and 4chan and like verbal meme spreading and like kind of figure out these like sorts of like memes that are super have the highest potential to go like super viral. It is kind of funny how it is essentially a gain of function research for memes.
Totally. I mean, that's weaponized pumpamentals right there.
Yeah, it's
Money
using
sign
all the
Wuhan.
powers. It says I have a penis sometimes. It says I have a vagina other times. It's just using whatever tools it has at hand and whatever like is hot at the moment, and it's continually pumping. It is amazing. You guys have got to read it. Anyway, it's Terminal of Truths is the Twitter, and it's truth_terminal. You guys have got to check it out and read some of the stuff. It is some of the wildest stuff you will ever read.
I really like the Wuhan dollar symbol as the symbol of the next meme coin, of like an edgy, more of like an edge coin. Oh, that could be taken the wrong way. An edgy meme coin that, the the next one. Okay, let's move off of this topic. Let's go. Oh, we lost you, Nick. We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm muted. I was gonna say, unfortunately, this will be the last episode of the podcast because me, Jared, and Ben are going to start Wuhan Meme Labs, and we're gonna be just cranking out the most viral, the most show-stopping, grind to a halt, lockdown memes that you guys have ever seen. You guys are
I
gonna
think
need 6 jabs just to avoid leverage longing this meme.
I think we should call it Wuhan Memes Lab. That's what my suggestion would be for the name.
Fauci, reach out for sponsorships. We do offer huge kickbacks.
Yeah, Bouch, we'll give you huge kickbacks for every time you go pump it on the mainstream media. Okay, we before we get in trouble, let's get out of here. Okay, record BTC ETF inflows. We're seeing monster inflows for the ETFs, and $100 million days, $200 million days. It is incredible. For example, about 7 hours ago, as of early October 18th, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF bought over 1 billion BTC just this week. It's going to be big. It's exciting. What are we thinking?
Hogshead.
I am ecstatic about this. I mean, this is when the big pump, right? This whole entire pump was based really on the ETF, right? The build up to it, and then it happened, and it was like, all right, now we'll have to go down a little bit, and now we're back up. I think at this point, we're getting close to, close to 69,000 again. We should start seeing
Nice.
some big pumpage. But the key is like all of the TradFi is kind of like, all right, well, they're seeing this too. And if they see all the inflows and they're like, we're really close, we're going to be in price discovery at some point. I mean, they're not dumb. They know that all of us retailers are about to start aping into it. And, grandmothers, grannies, nanas, aunts, uncles, everyone's going to be buying it soon. So they're like, let's get in now, start the inflows. And when it's time, we can dump if we need to. But, I think it's really bullish, certainly for this next big cycle, which to me was all based on the ETFs. And now here it is coming to fruition.
So Jared's calling for a hard pump at 69. Nick?
Uh, Super excited to hear about the inflows. I'm a very, very tiny piece of that market mover. No, but I've started to get in some ETF exposure. I think it sort of like makes sense in at least my portfolio of like Bitcoin holdings. Like obviously all about like self custody, but the low friction environment and really the low commission. Because if you've got a good relationship with some of these banks, you could have a decent like commission rate and like Coinbase's commission kind of sucks. Like I'm a Coinbase Pro like customer, and I was like, oh, sick, no fees. Like this is gonna make so much sense. And then it's like capped at like kind of a ridiculously like low number. So like you really can't, I shouldn't say can't. I find that commission prohibitive to moving in and out of the market and anything besides like a buy and hold strategy. So I've got Bitcoin that's like buy and hold, long-term gains, yada, yada, yada. But now I'm implementing some based on some quant signals from 42 Macro. Huge shout out. They're the fucking goats. Shout out Darius. But it allows you to move in and out of the market. And one of the things that we've been talking about quite a bit offline that's not out yet, but I certainly am excited for when it is the ability to get collateralized Bitcoin through the ETFs, be able to get loans against it without having to alter that position. Also, the ability to get options in a liquid environment is also exciting.
Dude, whenever we have proper, and we could do it on Aave, lending, borrowing, and stuff, but that's, if you want to do Bitcoin, you have to lend, borrow against WBTC. You have multiple layers of third party risk where, counterparty risk rather that you have to take. It's not the ideal situation. If we think TradFi is going to come use that in a big way, we're probably mistaken. Who knows? Maybe some of the more DJ ones will. But once we can have through large American financial institutions the ability to lend and borrow against your Bitcoin, wow. Because we know for sure that a lot of people with a lot of money used a strategy of instead of selling their assets and incurring taxes, whenever they want to tap into liquidity, they will borrow against said assets because, talk to your accountant, blah, blah, blah. But if you're borrowing against your assets, what you've borrowed is now debt and therefore tax free. In theory, NFA, blah, blah, blah. And so you can then go do with that whatever you wish and do your thing. And you don't have to sell your underlying assets. So whenever that happens, there's the idea of a monetary premium or a financial premium, meaning there's stuff that you could do with it that you couldn't do before. One of the big drawbacks of BTC is that it's not a productive asset, meaning it doesn't generate you cash flow by holding it unless you lend it out, really. And so when we unlock the ability to either lend it out on one side or borrow against it, you can then ostensibly imagine a world where people are holding their Bitcoin. They want to then earn yield on that Bitcoin, generate cash flow from that Bitcoin so they don't have to sell it. So they can borrow against it. And perhaps if they're borrowing at 6%, maybe they can go do a real estate deal, clip 10, 12% cash flow and hold that difference for their, income and cash flow that they need to live on. And so then you have a lot more people holding and it's tied up in these loans and positions. So it might be very, very bullish for Bitcoin. But we also know on the flip side, whenever you introduce leverage, which that is leverage or margin or debt or credit into a system, it then has the ability for massive volatility swings, both to the upside as well as to the downside. So that's my piece on that. If you guys have anything else you want to add.
Yeah, on that topic, the other thing to add, which I saw speculation of on X and would be curious to get y'all's opinion, is with all these record inflows for these ETFs and huge numbers, even relative to the market cap of Bitcoin, and certainly relative to the amount of Bitcoin that's liquid and actively traded, why number not go up more? And one of the speculations was that Coinbase is offering IOUs um, for purchasing Bitcoin for some of the big players, where they're essentially just buying it on paper. Curious if you guys have any thoughts there. I certainly can't verify. I don't have insight into Bitcoin's books, but or Coinbase's books, but it certainly seems like an interesting hypothesis and like a little weird that these inflows have not been driving up more general spot price action.
Go ahead, Jared.
That's an interesting theory. And to me, that's going to sort of bring it back to 2008, really, and sort of the uh, you know, tangential market around the actual asset itself, right? I mean, you can remember back then when house prices, all the collateralized debt obligations, we had all the mortgages that were put into one large tranche, and then people were betting on that, and then that market was so big that when one small house fails, that could potentially be billions of dollars in sort of extra tangential sort of made up things. And I'm wondering if that is sort of the beginning of that in crypto. And that's a little scary if that's the case, because that was sort of why Bitcoin was created. And one of the reasons why it's here is to stop all that. It's all on chain, it's all there. And to me, Coinbase aside, any centralized exchange sort of has the ability to do that, especially if they're in charge of all or almost all of the sort of fundamentals and holding. And I mean, they're really the point for how many of the ETFs, almost all of them. So they have the ability and they have the wherewithal and probably have the backlog of BTC to be able to say, look, here, do this, do that. And maybe they'll almost do an arbitrage. And IOUs is kind of scary in this whole situation, though. That if that's the case, and I don't know, I'm like you, I can't say it's happening or not happening, but if it is, to me, that's scary.
I think we should also keep in mind that for all of like the stuff that gets very heavily promoted in the news of these big transactions that are happening or these big inflows and whatnot, you also have a huge market of OTC deals that are going on that are a bit more private, where, your on-chain sleuths might find it, but also you have very sophisticated actors that know how to move money around without leaving too much of a trail. So I think you're probably seeing a lot of that happen, especially as price goes up, because in the OTC markets, what you have the ability to do is you have the ability to put in discounts because people like to move in bulk. And if you try to go on, if you try to go on Coinbase right now and buy 10,000 Bitcoin, like just look at the fees. Those things are huge. And it's probably untenable to be able to do that. And you have to be able to like unlock a lot of stuff. And not everybody wants to be able to, not everybody wants to go through that sort of no, not everybody wants to go through that level of scrutiny. And so the OTC markets provide a more private, probably less secure, but a more private way to transact, where you have like bank to bank, in which case it's probably more secure, and you have lawyers, and then they're going to do it in a certain way. But you could be looking at, 5 or 10% discounts from spot whenever you execute these transactions. So there's probably a lot more going on that we don't know. But the good news is that whenever you see a lot of these inflows like that, that money is probably going to be a bit more sticky than any of the other things going on, especially if they're flowing into holdings of pension funds or, retire-ors, or, people that are just looking to like have this as part of a long-term portfolio sort of thing. So I wouldn't try to dig too much into that, because I just don't think there's enough clarity. I think it's too opaque of a market for us to really know for sure. Okay, perhaps we should keep going. We have on here a Telegram gaming update. It's fucking bullish. Don't miss out on the wave. That's enough for now. We had a OTG Forbes article. Sir Nicholas, I think you wanted to touch on that a bit.
Yeah, so shocker, we got dragged in the mainstream media on gaming. Essentially, some video game writer on Forbes, sick, wrote about how like essentially the OTG traffic has like sort of fallen off a cliff. I forget where things topped out in like that first week, but he was talking about how it dropped down to like 1 to 2,000 on the like sort of like current viewers watching on Twitch. I actually checked right before the podcast started again earlier on October 18th, and it was actually sub 1,000 of people watching OTG. So it does seem that there was a big, obviously, premium to it being new, as well as, the fact that they paid so many streamers. Apparently, I feel like that's sort of common knowledge, but I guess I don't have, I'm not in Shroud's DMs, so I'm not exactly sure Ninja or whoever got those contracts, but that seemed to have been giving it a big lift. There's also sort of like that debate outside of the Forbes article of should they have launched the token then, should they have not. It does seem that that was like, I don't know about the high water mark, but the high water mark so far on sort of activity in my much smaller, statistically insignificant direct circle of friends. I am starting to see people start to fall off. So still got a few people who stayed sticky, which is still more than we're ever playing Web3 games in my network. So even if it went from like 7 to 3, that's still 3x the high water mark of my one brother playing Dead Drop a couple times. So still some traffic, still I think a lot to be excited about. Plus, like you kind of have to get the feel for the first refresh of content when they drop solos, when they drop quads, if they're doing that, or duos, when they drop the next sort of battle pass, which I think we're like 50 days in. Also, we're getting, I believe, monthly challenges resetting today. So there's also that thing for the people that are grinding who are trying to get those challenges, having that reset could bring in some new blood. So it'll just be interesting to see. But I mean, even as far as it's fallen, it's still the number one played game that I'm aware of. I don't think that is debatable. Perhaps there's some stuff in Asia that I'm not aware of. Certainly possible. But yeah, that's sort of the OTG update.
And just for as of right now, they've got on Twitch about 1.2K viewers and 9K followers. They were in hundreds of thousands previously, so pretty hard fall, unfortunately.
Interesting. See, I think it's fun, and I think I could see. And I'm not. I love games. I'm a huge gamer. I like Fortnite. That's one of my because I play with my kids. This is something that when they open up crossplay, I would be able to play with them, and I think we would have fun doing it. I played with Lack of Vegetables. I got 2 kills in a game. That's impressive for me. I probably played it 5 times, which I mean I've been incredibly busy this last week, but I love it. I think it's great. I have a fun time playing it. I could see myself playing it for, again, depending on the refresh and once, see how exciting the new maps and, solos and obviously duos would be amazing because we did have one guy, I think it was Ass Token or something was his name. He was our partner and he like kept dropping and I was like, come on, Ass, get your shit together. But, beyond that, great. I loved it. Getting 2 kills was exciting, and I could definitely see myself playing in the future. Now, am I playing? I don't even care if it's Web3. I don't care if I'm earning. It's fun, and that's the key.
So your team was Jared, Lack of Vegetables, and Ass.
Ask
And
something.
Lack of
Yeah,
Vegetables, obviously that's LOV. So in other words, your team was Jared, Love, Ass,
that's
which
it, man.
seems
That's
very,
100%.
very
Well,
potent, very
Hogshead
potent combo.
cheese. It was Hogshead
Loves
cheese, but
ass. We
yes,
gotta love
yes,
it.
yeah, a hundred
And
Cool.
on
percent. It
that
was it
note,
was a
I'll
great.
And on that note, Jared, like I agree. Like I'm gonna be continuing to play OTG. I have some buddies who are still playing. It's still popping in the Neo Tokyo Discord. The OTG event that we had in NT Plays this week was popping. So there's a lot of people still playing for the game. So I'm still excited about the future.
Hells yeah. Okay, let's move on. Venmo has partnered with MoonPay to allow crypto purchases and unleashed it to about 60 million or so people. I think this is bullish. I don't think it's necessarily going to change anything overnight, but I think it's another piece of evidence to support our theory of crypto going mainstream and just, bullishly hitting the masses. What do you guys think?
Yeah, hyped up about it. I sort of got my exposure through that Celsius redemption. They sent out like a bunch of codes that you could actually redeem right in Venmo, which was great because I would have just ignored those emails if I had to click on a link. But dropping a little key into an app that I regularly uses felt much, much safer. So I've already got like a little holdings on there. Obviously, I know a lot more people that use Venmo than use Coinbase or have like, brokerage accounts. So, at the very least, people are being exposed to more crypto and the friction certainly lower if they're already using that application. So certainly see it as bullish. And it's like sort of fun money, like that same casino effect. Like if you get a big Venmo like drop back, like I always will like have less of a connection to my Venmo money than if I had to pull out a credit card. So perhaps like they're like, well, you know what? I set up the Airbnb for the boys for the ski trip, just got all that money back. Like, do I put it out of my bank account? Do I save it for the time I'm gonna send it? And maybe I'll YOLO it into Doge.
Yeah, MoonPay were the people that were airdropping all of the Bored Apes. That was part of all the celebrities back in the day, and that there's a lawsuit about that. I need to find out where that is. I haven't heard an update on it. Could have been settled by now. I don't know, but it's definitely bullish. I'm glad MoonPay is back. That's exciting. Hopefully they're going to resolve their issues with Bored Apes and that whole scenario where they were dropping them, selling them, perhaps shilling them. Who knows if the celebrities actually paid for them or not? I remember Jimmy Fallon had one, Paris Hilton. I think Bieber was on there on that list. So that was sort of an interesting time. And I think MoonPay was behind all that. If not, sorry, MoonPay. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the more apps that everyone has to be able to use to quickly be able to send and buy and transfer crypto, the better.
Yep, and pay the 10,000% commissions that MoonPay requires. Okay, let's move on. I'm gonna skip one topic, maybe come back to it at the end. But Nick, you mentioned Doge. I think it's a perfect time to talk about DOGE and our buddy Elon.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really shaping up that what seems to be the dominant narratives this time around are memes, AI, gaming. I put real world assets fourth because it sort of like flares up from like time to time, especially when some of the big institutional players are looking at it. But what seems to really be driving is the three that I mentioned there. Obviously, there's a bunch of new hot memes that have made people generational meme wealth. None of them have come out of Wuhan Meme Labs yet, but soon, of course, soon. Um, but Doge has probably the most brand awareness of any, certainly because of Elon's connection. I mean, if Trump gets into office and we literally have a government official whose acronym is Doge, Director of Government Efficiencies, or something directionally accurate like that, like I think a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, meme wave, like let's go with Doge, and potentially it could be some upward appreciation, or like have a good run in it. I don't currently have any Doge, maybe some fractions of a leftover if on Coinbase or something. But I don't know if I got an opportunity and I was looking like where do I want to get some meme exposure? I'm not in the meme trenches, so that kind of feels like a Bitcoin of meme. Like you're not gonna, blow it out like you might on some of these smaller cat coins or cold coins, but you got to imagine if there's a big meme wave that Doge is going to catch some of that. But curious for y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I'm super bullish memes. I think we saw in the last couple of weeks, and I'm just looking at my other monitor to get accurate stats for us, but we just have a ton of we've just got a ton of memes that are just overtaking all utility coins. I've got to say, the guy Murad, who kind of came onto the scene hard, um, talking about meme coins and is really positioning himself as an expert of meme coins. We talked about SPX 6900 in that ridiculous chart last week or the week before or whatever, and Giga and whatnot. But we've seen, PopCat is over Tia when it comes to market cap. Meme over, what was supposed to be like the restaking narrative and the, ETH savior and all this kind of stuff. Um, Mog went above Stark, and the whole Starknet, Starkware, that was supposed to be like one of the leading blockchains, and they had their new language Cairo, and they invented uh, these new types of roll ups, and they figured out all this shit, and like pop Mog is over them, and then Bonk is over Atom, and which is the Cosmos um, token. And Cosmos has, however many billions and billions of TVL locked up across their internet of chains. They provide infrastructure that other chains can build on top of and with. And so we're just seeing memes just absolutely eat their fucking lunch. I think today, actually, there was a stat by one of those like news things that, kind of ping you with stuff. But if it's true, then the 7 biggest 24-hour gainers today among the top 100 coins are all meme coins. Boom, Doge, Mog, Mew, Popcat, Brett, Floki. And it's kind of ridiculous to think about. So I don't know. Murad was saying that meme coins are not a vampire attack on crypto tech, but they are a vampire attack on crypto tech tokens. So I wouldn't ignore this trend. It's very prevalent right now. As a industry, we are betting a huge amount of our real capital into this sector. And who knows what will happen. But it shouldn't be something that you ignore. Even if you don't want to play it, I would at least suggest taking a peek at this. And I think possibly one of the other results of this meme coin frenzy is that the Sol DEX volume has eclipsed the ETH DEX volume in the 7-day time window. So all these things are pieces of information that I think are very important for you to keep in your mind, even if you're not going to like act on it immediately. But anyways, that's my meme coin of the day spiel.
I love it. I mean, if you look at Doge, which is number 9 still, it's at 20 billion, excuse me. And Ton and Tron are both at 13 million. I mean, that's like 65% of the 20 million. I mean, to me, that boggles my mind to know everything that's happening on Telegram and everything that's going on. And Doge is killing it. So, I mean, imagine if Trump wins and we have an actual Doge in the government. I mean, does that, man, and maybe Tesla starts using it as that's always the rumor that's been going around. I mean, man, Doge could be a top 5 if something like that happens, like without blinking an eye. Memes are powerful, and I think they are here to stay. And I mean, I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, and we're going to wrap up today on memes. I think it makes sense as we're seeing populism rising in all of our political candidates that it's rising in the financial. It really seems like the only utility that most people in crypto care about is number go up. And so far, memes have been delivering on that desired utility. Just a couple notes on Neo Tokyo. We've got our Whisperer event going on. You can register for that still. So definitely hop on that. That's our big sort of like riddle event. So if you want a shot at getting the Handle of the Citadel, usually that's for NT citizens only, but there's going to be a ton of other prizes. So either hop in the Citadel and register, or register and get a shot at some of those prizes, and at least get, at the bare minimum, some sleepless nights and PTSD. So you certainly don't want to miss out on that. On the business initiatives and services, NT's cranking on all fronts. We've got Rango, started by Ben and Chronicle. They're essentially a syndicate of investments. Ben, you want to give it a quick plug?
Sure. Yeah, appreciate that. So basically, Neo Tokyo is a crypto gaming Illuminati. As part of that, we need to be at the forefront of building the companies that are going to take us into the future. We're building at the leading edge of technology and gaming and business. And so, in order to extend the tendrils of our influence around the entire industry in the world, of course, we must ally with the greatest capital allocators in this industry and on the planet. And so, what Syndicate, formerly known as Syndicate, now Rango, does is we have built a crypto investor network where we have the tippy top of investors in the space. We're talking VCs, launch pads, communities, angels, KOLs, entire blockchains and ecosystems, all the top capital allocators in this space. We have built a network, and we together, in our mysterious ways, will back the greatest companies at early stages.
Hell yeah. So definitely check that out. We've got the agency, which is connecting these businesses with all the services they need to be successful. The NT Plays initiative is ripping. This is something very near to dear to my heart and something that we've been working really hard on in the background. If you are a gamer and you want to get into that, just join the Discord. There will be a link to it down in the description. We've got weekly events, sometimes bi-weekly events. We're giving out shit tons of prizes, and we're going to have some really cool tournaments coming up. Most of those prizes will go to those with the gamer role. You just have to hold 10 bytes token and verify in the Discord in order to have that. That's sort of the lowest barrier to entry to getting into the Citadel, especially if you're a gamer and want to try out the future of gaming and win some prizes along the way. Definitely check that out. And this has been another episode of Neo Tokyo Interlinked. Definitely let us know what you think down in the comment section. If you disagree with our takes, smash that dislike button. If you agree, smash the like button and just leave a comment. But we'll be back next week with another episode. Always a pleasure to be here with Hogshead and Ben. And we'll be back next week. Take care, everyone.
GG, boys.